So you have a business and you're ready to optimize. You're ready to systematize your business, put it on cruise control. That's what we've been studying in this series, the Enterprise Craftsman. So right here, I'd like to show you a model called GARR, G-A-R-R. It's the primary model that our coaches use to help a business owner really get their house in order, make sure that the whole thing really fits together. And let me give you what this acronym means, just so this is squared away. I'll relieve your curiosity here. So G stands for goal, A stands for activity, R stands for role, and R stands for report. So goal, what are the goals of the organization? What are the terminal points? What's the aim by which we keep score as an organization? Back when you worked on the ideology of the organization and the envisioned future, you should already have this squared away. So you have long and far goals, maybe your 3-year to your 10-year goals. Those are your BHAGs, your big, hairy, audacious goals. And then you have your 1-year strategic goals, right? You may have some market share goals. You may have some goals in terms of customers. So you give thought to what your financial goals are, your marketing goals are, maybe your management objectives are, but you're thinking within a year period, and then think about what you're going to accomplish with your business within the next 12 weeks, right? Bring it down to what are my key priorities, what do I need to do in the next 12 weeks within my enterprise to position it. Think of it like sinking the cue ball to line up the next shot. What do I need to do? What are the different departments of my business? In the marketing department, sales department, human resources, R&D, in the customer service space, break it down, or break it down by impact area, right? Make up 9, maybe 12 impact areas that compose the key performance factors of your business. These are all the key processes, the ones at the very, very tip, the apex of all the activities and processes. And then ask yourself, if these were to go extremely well, if I had A performance in each one of these impact areas, what would be measured? What would be the outcome? And so this gets me to get you to think about, what are these goals? Where am I going, right? How am I going to measure? Because what's measured gets done. If I don't know where I'm going, people are going to be confused about the critical part that they have in helping you get there. You're not the one down the hallway with all the answers, right? You just know where you're taking the organization. Now, they're going to be able to bring their talents and their gifts and their ideas. Man, there's going to be a lot of improvising along the way. It's not all going to go as planned. None of these company build-outs go in a straight line. You've probably noticed this now as you're a mature entrepreneur, is that nothing really goes as expected. You have an intention to more or less get back on track. So the purpose of having company goals is to, 1, establish a sense of direction. It's also to establish a model for learning, that we learn by bringing into being the goals that are important to the organization. Activities. So what are all the activities that are composed in the individual position descriptions that are directly anchored to the achievement of that goal? 20% of the daily activity of the average employee should be goal-centric. If you're going to execute, if you're going to design plans and go after great outcomes, we need to make sure that 20% of the individual staff member's behavior is anchored to the manifestation of the goals that are important to the organization. How do you measure that? Well, you measure that by looking at the 6 things that they're doing every single day. You can do that. But there's another way you might do this, and maybe this is the first exercise. The first exercise might be, have each individual, either your key leadership team, depending on the size organization you are, you can have everybody do this, is ask everyone to turn in their best understanding of their position. Now, if you've given them a position description, that's great, but what you're looking for is, how different is the actual day-to-day work they're doing from the expected work that you've lined up? This is a very important piece of data, is looking through their eyes. What is their understanding of what they're responsible for? What are the activities that actually encompass what they're doing? So you can perform a position audit and have them report to you what they actually do. They can put together a cross-section inventory, maybe audit a week or 2 of time, right? And then write down what it is they actually do, what are all the activities that are composing what they're doing, and also test them, hot seat them. What are the goals or targets that all their activities are responsible for creating? This is what measures their success in their individual role, and then ask them about standards. So we have a worksheet called the Performance Optimizer Worksheet. We call it the POW system, that helps you ask the employees the right amount of information. This is also an opportunity to ask them how much their most favorite activities are inherent in the job. That can tell you a lot about how happy they are in the job, how much they get energized by the activities that they're doing. If they're occupied by tons and tons of activities that really don't bring out their personal gifts and abilities, you can be sure they're going to lose enthusiasm. So it could be an interesting test to see how much of the work is drawing forth the gifts, the areas that are really inspiring to your staff. So again, something to take a look at, and you may want to do this audit. If you've already dished out the position descriptions, that's great. My hope is that you've had a roundtable of individuals that are peers of those people, that are direct reports to those individuals, that you've performed a 360-degree awareness of others on the team knowing what each other's position descriptions are. I can't state how important this is. Imagine being on a baseball or basketball or football team and not having a sense of what everybody's responsible to do. You wouldn't know who to throw the ball to. You wouldn't know where the first baseman is. You wouldn't know who plays first, second, and third. You wouldn't even know who's in the outfield. So part of what makes a great team here, what holds this thing together, what really makes an organization in its true sense, is having a sense of what the real activities are, testing whether these activities are in fact anchored to the goals that you seek to create. And you can perform position audits to do that. Now, where do these activities go? Are they aligned with the right roles? You may find that some of the activities are best redesigned for other roles because of people's abilities, because of the org chart that you set up. And maybe what you've learned in other audios in this program is to put together the future org chart, right? Is you put together a future vision org chart, which is a very cool map that shows you what activities should probably go into which position. And you've also listened to the DOP matrix. You probably listened to that, and you understand all the different interconnected qualities that influence what data goes into a position description. It touches so many different areas. Position descriptions are enormously essential to an organization being under control, actually being able to do right things right, to produce right action on behalf of the goal. This is the management side of the business inevitably. This is the engineer side of the business, of getting right things right, and the economist side of making sure that when we do right things, we do them in a way where we can be profitable and turn our assets into cash flow without increasing the cost of those assets. That makes us productive, it makes us effective and efficient. So aligning the roles, having the right activities in those roles, and ensuring that those activities are supporting directly in a line of sight to the goals of the organization is a very important alignment process. And then finally, what are the reporting vehicles? Who are the watchtowers over these key goals or deliverables that are inherent in their position? You need to know where things are. You need to know what the critical success factors are in the organization, the pulse, just like a doctor would on a daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly basis. You're able to make comparisons, bracket certain amounts of time compared to other parts of time. We'll be talking about that in another audio on critical success factors, what are called KPIs, key performance indicators, creating the dashboard. So it's important that you delineate what reporting vehicles that each individual is responsible for. Where do they draw the information from, and where do they report that information? And then align that into a meeting series. And I'm going to get into the details of a meeting series in another audio. But I just want to give you the broad brush of the GARR model. Now, in working with this model, you can make a point of entry into any one of these. You can start inspecting the reporting vehicles. And the neat thing about starting with reporting vehicles is once you get your hands on the numbers, once you start seeing those factors, what's revealed to you is what activities are pulling and what activities are not. There are two types of activities in an organization. There are suboptimizing activities and there are optimizing activities. Optimizing activities bring about a consistent and reliable result. It weeds out variation in an organization. It creates scalable efficiency. So once you look at a reporting vehicle, it immediately unearths and points you in the direction of what is suboptimizing and what is optimizing. Hence, if the numbers are meeting your expectations and you know your true distance from where you are to the goal line, you're able to determine what to keep doing, what to stop doing, and what to start doing. You can start, stop, or continue based on those numbers. Daily, weekly. It's also important who else needs to know those numbers. On a horizontal level, lateral level, vertical level, who needs to look at them below that individual in the hierarchy. By knowing those numbers, individuals can have ownership-type thinking in some way that they're able to look at numbers and say, how can I affect this? Now, one truth in organizations is that you care a lot more about these numbers than they probably do. What they care more about are the emotional components that get their energies flowing in the organization. They care more about the relationships they're having. That's why you see poor performing organizations keep people around, because they don't want to leave one another. They have a strong faith in one another despite the fact that organizations might not be going well. So this does not negate the relational component. In fact, just the opposite. You should regard that very highly, that the vantage point of employees is not to care about profits like you do. They don't care about assets return or getting cash out of assets, profit levels, making the highest sale. Those aren't the things that get their juices flowing and get them excited. The things that get their juices flowing and get them excited are the guiding ideas, what the purpose of the organization is, and whether they can marry or align their own life purpose with the purpose of the organization. Well, these are the types of things that bring out their involvement. Contribution gets them involved. Knowing the lay of the land, truth-telling, understanding the challenges that they're facing, drawing forth new skills and abilities to have to create workarounds, going to new levels, innovating out of constraints, finding new ways of ordering up a goal. These types of things that really put their skills to best use. Doing what they enjoy doing the most, making a contribution to others, having great deepening periods of relationships that happen in informal segments during the business, during lunch hours, after hours. These are the types of things that really inspire employees. Why? Because they spend more hours at your workplace than they do at any other dimension in their life. So it better be good. Their workplace needs to be inhabitable, but you're not responsible for that. You're not responsible for their morale. You're not responsible for making it inhabitable. They are. It's not about leadership. It's about citizenship. So what you share with them as if they were a partner. And I get asked this a lot. Hey, JD, what should I not share? Well, try to share the things that they can affect. If it's really confidential and it might inspire doubt or dread, okay, I get it. But oftentimes it's best that they know the truth because it makes them resourceful. And they know that when you share that with them, there's the underlying message that you believe in what they can do. The big attaboy is how much truth that you share with them. Have you noticed that when you see a team in a crisis, people that don't know each other come together, the walls come down. We connect because we have a common aim. Something is of greater need than the pettiness that occurs between us when we create distance or we have politics or agendas. All that melts away at the face of a challenge. By sharing with them these numbers and these reports and doing it in meetings where they can make decisions with you as partners, you are a steward in this situation. You're not the caretaker, you're not the lifeguard. You're there to ask them and confront them with their own freedom. How do you want to make this organization inhabitable for you? What activities do you see that are working, that are optimizing, and are sub-optimizing, and what would you like to do about it? Use this as a way into autonomy. The reason we look at data is to reflect. The reason we look at data is to step back and stop and ask the deeper questions, is to look and unlayer at what's going on. And by understanding better what's going on and comparing it to what we want to create, we co-create, we decide things together. We come up with solutions. We become inventive because it drives fear out of the organization to talk about undiscussables. So share the numbers with them. I recommend that you do that, but share with them numbers that they can affect within the lanes of their positions. Okay, so that's the reporting piece. You may start there in optimizing all the processes in your organization. The other thing that you might want to start with is designing or defining together as a group the universal process of the organization from end to end. So you get together in a retreat-type setting, or you come in an hour early in the morning, or a series of meetings, and you say this: hey guys, I want to make sure that we all see the choreography from the first step, kind of the first transaction or milestone, all the way to the end. I'd like to have a linear understanding, a collective understanding of kind of like a memo being passed through the hands, and let's picture that each one of these milestones we occupy. And so let's put this together from the front train to the caboose, of where it comes in on the front, of how we attract a potential customer, to how we convert a customer, and then the process that they go through in fulfilling their needs, and then getting them to retain what we do, getting them to stay obedient to us, garnering a referral, creating a raving fan, essentially positioning a loyalty ladder and taking them to the stratosphere. So we deliver something that they can't get anywhere else. It provides a very unique, in-depth client experience. It's our business as art. And we're all seeing this. We're all responsible for this unique process that's universal. Just trying to sketch that out and having the fortitude and the tolerance to stay with that and draw it all out in arrows and so forth is a very exciting roll-your-sleeves-up process. Now, there may be some re-engineering to do. Maybe there's some overhauling to do on the process. Maybe there are some steps that are inefficient. Maybe there are some embellishments, like a Christmas tree, that we collectively want to add on. But the point is, you're opening your hand to the chassis, to the apparatus of the car, and asking, what is the universal process of our organization? You want to get across that you guys are building a unique and total ultimate client experience. You want to be creating your business as art. You're inviting their artist face to the table. You're inviting their heart to the table. To go into the unknown without the expectancy to come back to where we are. That's what true innovation is taking a meaningful leap into uncertainty. So by doing this and drawing it out, some of it may be actual, and then as you look at it, you may see that there are new potential adjuncts and add-ons and elements that you want to add to enrich the client experience. The second thing about the client experience is that by staying authentic to it and making it self-expressed, making it significant to us, it has more utility for the marketplace. Because it's an experience, yeah? That means that you can't find it anywhere else. That means we're the only ones that hold the keys to the makeup of that experience. In fact, we constantly improve it to the point where no one can catch us. We differentiate, and even if we try to get copied, we're such a moving target because we have so much blue sky thinking in our boardroom. We're allowed to think. We're allowed to be creative. We're allowed to have zany, brainy ideas. No idea is discounted. In fact, you're encouraging your employees to bring one creative idea to work every week, and it will not be discounted. It may be parking lotted, it may be delayed, but it won't be discounted. They will be heard. Employees love to contribute. That's what they're hungry for. So listen. The other thing it does is the unique experience provides a model where it's critical to your customers or your receiver's future success. That when they go through this, it's directly linking to them having a bigger, better, faster, stronger future possibility. That they depend on your unique process, and that it's relational. And in the unique process, there are transformative conversations that are linked together in a series of encounter points from start to finish. What you'll start to notice is they're basically rooms like locks in the Panama Canal, where it fills up, and then once it's full, there's a signal and alarm, and then boom, we go into the next lock, and that one fills up, and then boom. You control the process, your buyers buy and enjoy. And as you're doing that, they're educated. You hypnotize them, covertly persuade them by helping them set the criteria that this is the best way to buy whatever you offer. And there's nothing that compares to it. And you show them at various points, you thank them, you reinforce that for being great and why they're great and what they see in you. Mr. Customer, thank you very much for our call today. We appreciate being your first choice because, and then explain it. You're constantly at those encounter points reinforcing your brand. Your brand is only as good as your reasons for doing your business. That's it. So having a strong purpose and reason that drives the makeup, the composition, the choreography of your unique process is such a key piece. Just working on it together. You know, it would be like I have an idea for Les Miserables, or I have an idea for Cats, and yet I'm not in the production phase with it. Or I am, but I can make it that much better. And I get everybody together, and I understand that we're all partners, we're all co-creators, and we're going to have conversations like that. That's going to be the temperament of our conversation. Everyone's a contributor to this. Everyone has a voice in what this is. So let's figure it out. Now, don't get caught in the allurement of every single decision needing to be democratic. That's not what I'm saying. Granted, there will be things that you need to be willing to do to disappoint other people. Right? There is right action that you will sometimes override. But the point is you're wide open to all kinds of ideas. You're certainly considering it. Bill Gates did this, right? How did he get into the internet? He didn't suddenly come upon the idea. He listened to his salespeople. And they said, Bill, here's where we need to be. Here's where the action is. Here's what's wanting to emerge. And he said, great. And all in one day, he sent out a letter and said, here's what we're doing. He was informed by the whole. He was a peripheral listener. He didn't have all the answers. He got wealthy. He created Microsoft out of listening to the emerging future possibilities through what permeated him, through the collective, through what people were saying. And he relied on them, and he honored them, and he saw them as partners. He saw them as equals. So there's no parent-child relationship here. Okay? Now, activities, activities, activities. So you can go into activities, but ensure yourself that the activities, and ensure your organization that the activities are, number one, loyal to the goal, and they're the best activities that are suited to the employee doing them. If the activities that they're doing are nowhere near what they enjoy doing most, if it doesn't bring out any voluntary energy, if it doesn't bring to the table the comment or the remark, hey boss, can I have some more of that? I love doing that. If it doesn't energize them after work, that could be an issue. One, you may not have the right person in the position, or two, you might not have the right position for them. Can you put them somewhere else? Do you have something else in the organization that they can do? You are called upon, you are responsible for, as a leader, automatically, for putting people into what they are gifted to do. Not everybody in the organization will have full throttle access to this, but it's a great guiding idea. You will certainly be more successful proportionately with this guiding idea, not just saying it, but actually doing it. So laying out those activities, doing an audit on those activities, you can start there. And then their roles. How do the roles fit together, right? How do you fit together the puzzle? Who does what? Who understands what each one does? What are the expectations that each has of each other's role? And so it brings me to several questions. Each one of them, each person, should be able to answer, number one, what I'm going to be contributing most to this organization. Okay, so if their role is clear, they're able to communicate what they're going to be contributing most to this organization. And their peers, their 360-degree workers, they should be able to also say, I understand what this person's biggest contribution is going to be to this team, to this work group, this department, this unit or organization. Number two, here's where I need help the most. Knowing my activities and being able to evangelize and promote my role throughout the hierarchy, here's where I need help the most, and here's who I'm going to depend on to get that help when I need it. So there's contracts that are made, that each person has vulnerabilities. So a meeting to do this would be very exciting, a developmental meeting to talk about, number one, what's your biggest contribution to this organization? Do other people know that? Number two, what do you need help with the most? What do you need help with the most? And number three is, what are the expectations of you? What are you expected to carry out? This is your role. What activities are you expected to carry out? What are the 5 performance objectives that most importantly organize your work product? Yeah? And then what are the standards by which the work will be done? Now, does everybody need to memorize everyone's position? No. However, what you may want to do, depending on the size organization, is you may want to cross-train a bit. So, for example, your office manager learns from your bookkeeper how to do the parts that she can do while the bookkeeper's away. Or your sales executives in the commercial side learn what they're doing on the retail side so that they can be backups. Backups, having substitutes and understudies, are what help you lower your fear instinct It increases your continuity. It will lower the threat of downtime. So please make sure and do that. The other thing that you may want to look at is in their role is how much training do they need? How much are they using the actual system? If you're an insurance agency, do they know your agency management system? Is your accountant clear on QuickBooks, FreshBooks, or whatever they're using? How much are they able to get done based on their current product knowledge? Where are their deficiencies there? It's been said that most people in the organization probably know about 30% of the technologies that's in front of them. Do they know how to use Outlook to the fullest? Can they use Microsoft Word and go to an advanced level of skill with it? Can they learn Excel better, learn computations in there? So can you cross-train? Can you help develop backups, right? Can you duplicate like that so that there's no downtime? Can you take a closer look at who is lacking training or skills and then create a plan to put them back on track? Invest in your people. Give them the skills that they need. Just make sure that they're fit and equipped to do the work. Do they have the skills to do the work so they can win? Do they have the backups they need so that if they're human and they need to go down, they're sick, or they have vacations, it isn't predatory or trespassing on your organization's performance? So if you're a small business, you may want to do this. Is think about the aspects where you could profitably have duplication, and you clone people. Okay, also aligning their personal gifts with the role and the activities that they perform, and making sure that everybody understands the most important goals that we collectively are co-creating, and that we understand, just like we're cascading, right? We're cascading from those goals into the individual positions, what I'm doing in my unit, what outcomes I'm doing, what I'm working here. I'm working goals, not just tasks. What I'm doing to ensure that I am creating, along with my peers, the goals in the organization. So this is the GARR model. I suggest that you use this as any point of entry. If you want to start an audit on goals and the collective goals or the individual goals of the positions, the performance profiles, you can start there, looking to see if there's alignment there, see if there is anchoring going on. Is it there? Is the performance-based position description connecting to those goals? Is it linked? Might be activities, right? You could perform an activity audit. You could send a POW worksheet out to key employees, find out what they're actually doing, compare it to the activities that you expect them to be doing, commensurate with the goals. How about their roles? Is it collectively understood? What are they going to contribute the most? Collectively, universally. Do people know that? Is it evangelized? Second, where do they need help the most? Have we paired together individuals to back them up? What about downtime? Have we developed a cross-training initiative for people that could back them up at the time of need? Or how about reports? Reports elicit the key activities in the organization. What's optimizing? What's sub-optimizing? What do we start? What do we stop? What do we continue? The purpose of having numbers is to reflect together. What you show people is what they can affect and control. And in the numbers, by helping them see the truth, they're able to be more resourceful. Act like your conversations are partnership-driven. We talked about the universal process, and that we collectively map out our understanding, our universal mind, of what we do from the start to the finish. How we take our relationships that we serve from the beginning of the show to the end of the show. And then we think creatively about how we embellish that, because we create our business as art. So these are some points of entry into optimizing the key areas that drive great performance in your organization, the GARR model.